Alrighty, good afternoon, well, actually good evening Arkansas. This is Assistant Chief Forecaster Kim back here once again. We're going to give you guys a live update on what to expect for tomorrow, what to expect for Monday and Tuesday, and if you are a weather enthusiast, what to expect as we get towards late next week. We've got a lot to talk about in this live stream tonight, so if you guys can do me a big favor, drop a like and a follow for us guys so you guys can stay aware of these updates, etc. We've got a lot of people tuning in. I know everyone's going to be kind of asking questions and stuff like that. I've got information I got to go over first. I'm going to try to speed blitz through the information, and then I'm going to tackle your questions here. Okay, so first and foremost, we got to talk about this, and this is the current temperatures right now here, and boy, oh boy, you've got some colder air coming in. If it's going to be knocking on the door of northwestern Arkansas here in about the next hour to 2 hours here. So if you're a warm weather person, you like warm air and stuff like that, get outside while you can now, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last time you see 60s and 70s for temperatures for a good bit. Once this front of boundary pushes through here, and you can see temperatures are already falling. Back out here in Oklahoma, you've got temperatures in the 40s and 50s. Out here in Nebraska and Kansas, you've got temperatures in the teens and 20s, all the way filtering down into Kansas here. So some significant colder air coming down as we get towards the next day or so. And kind of a nationwide view before I go into information here. Look at the temperatures up here. This is all that colder air coming south. You're talking about temperatures in the single digits to low teens up here. Now, obviously, it's not going to get that cold down here in Arkansas because we don't have a snowpack in place. But this tells you the brunt of colder air that's going to get ready to come down. You've got a major winter storm going on in the Dakotas and in the Minnesota here, and that's going to play a big role for our weather here in Arkansas as we get towards the next week or so here. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk to you guys about why the majority of everyone's here. Let's talk about this real quick. And this is going to be tomorrow's winter weather. Now, this is kind of blindsided a lot of people, including myself, because what was originally supposed to be, the front of boundary coming in dry, a few scattered showers and storms. By the way, no severe weather is expected. But that was the original game plan. The front of boundary was supposed to come through, temperatures were supposed to drop. We were really concerned about next week. Well, what's going on is everything to do with Hurricane Nicole to our east. Hurricane Nicole is kind of holding the front of boundary up enough for it to allow it to kind of slow down and slowly push its way through Arkansas. So what's going on with that? Front of boundary is going to kind of stall out for a brief bit. It's going to make its way through, but area flow pressure is going to develop out in the southwest, right along the front of boundary, and that's where you get the potential of seeing some winter weather. And don't worry, I'm going to go over the Futurecast and all that other good stuff here in just a little bit. But this is the winter weather threat for tomorrow. Northern Arkansas, northwestern Arkansas. If you guys see winter weather, I think it's going to be primarily snow, mainly for the potential of those colder temperatures being up there, 20s and 30s. Remember that map I just showed you guys a few seconds ago? That's going to kind of seep its way down into northern Arkansas here. Now, central, west central, and east central Arkansas, this is where the forecast becomes very tricky because you have to account for temperatures, what your loft temperatures are going to look like, etc. I'm going for right now rain to mix to ending as light snow here. And I want to stress with this as well, this is going to be a light event. This is not going to be like a 4 to 5 inch snowfall amount or anything like that. Ground temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s across the state right now. It's very, very warm ground temperatures here. So don't expect a lot of travel issues. Don't expect a lot of accumulation or anything like that. This is what I call an eye candy snow setup as we get towards tomorrow, because it's not going to accumulate to anything, but it's going to be very beautiful to kind of watch fall and stuff like that here. But rain to mix to light snow across west central, and into northeastern Arkansas, and then outside of that, south Arkansas, mainly a cold rain down there for you guys here. But I can't rule it out. Probably as far south as the Queen to Arkadelphia over to Brinkley and Memphis. But like I said, for nothing to write home about in terms of accumulations here. Speaking of accumulations, let's go ahead and talk to you guys about that here. So this is kind of our first map in terms of accumulations here. And I've gone a trace, maybe some locally higher amounts, maybe a half an inch, if you're lucky enough, primarily in the higher elevations, in the mountains, and particularly in the elevated surface areas. You're talking like on top of cars, on top of like, stuff outside and stuff like that. Nothing on the ground. I'm not expecting anything in terms of sticking, because like I said before, your ground temperatures are just ridiculously warm right now to support major snowfall accumulations here. But the best shot is going to be in the elevated surfaces, in the higher elevations. Little to no traffic issues are expected, but I know everybody in Arkansas gets excited when there's snow falling, so please take it easy on the roadways tomorrow across the area, especially tomorrow evening and into tomorrow night here, okay? And I'm going to go over timing and all the other stuff here in just a little bit, okay? Now, let's talk about next week here. And I'm going to get into Futurecast about tomorrow, and then I'll tackle questions. I'm going to try to answer them all at once. Let's talk about next week here. Now, this is Monday night into Tuesday's map. Now, I want you guys to pay close attention to the the left corner of your screen, the graphic, okay? This is a first look map. Changes will likely occur over the next few days here, okay? Now, keep this in mind. The system that's going to bring this winter weather threat has not been sampled. It has not came across the continental United States at all, okay? So what does that mean in layman's terms? That means we have no idea on data on the system, the track, or anything like that. So model guidance is just throwing their ideas out right now. We're seeing trends with model guidance, and we're going from there, okay? So obviously northwestern and western Arkansas higher elevations, you stand the best shot of seeing snowfall, okay? Now from the Queen to the Metro to Jonesboro, Blytheville, and down to Memphis, this is where the forecast becomes very, very uncertain. Like I mentioned before, whenever you're talking about winter weather here in the natural state in November, marginal temperatures, a bowling ball low moving through, that's where you get the winter precipitation chance. Okay, it's very difficult. It's not impossible and it's not uncommon, but it's very difficult to get a big time winter weather threat here in Arkansas unless the pattern fully supports it. Okay, the pattern we're going into, and we'll show you guys in the next graphic in a second, the pattern we're heading into favors winter weather. It favors it a lot. The problem is trying to figure out where's this low pressure going to track across the area. But the first look says rain to mix to snow across much of the area. Like I mentioned before, this is the first look. We got to get past this weekend. We got to get to Monday, get some data in and stuff like that, and then go from there. Okay, so expect changes with this map, but this is kind of a first glance on what we could potentially be dealing with as we get towards Monday night. South Arkansas, once again, down there, cold rain. But as I said before, we'll watch the temperatures closely and everything like that. But the biggest thing is model guidance do not handle the cold air well at all. Okay, now let's go and talk to you guys about, let's see if I have this graphic up. I thought I had it in here. Let me see if I can get this up for you guys real quickly here. This was regarding late next week. Let me see if I can get this up for you guys here. I thought I had it loaded up. Apparently I didn't. So bear me for just a bit, and I'm going to see if I can get that up. And let's talk about this. Okay, so let's see if we can back this up. There it is. All right. So this, this is late next week. We're talking late Thursday night, early Friday morning of next week. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but in the late next week. Remember what I just said. The pattern supports winter weather. You've got colder air making its way down into the central and eastern half of the country. An active southern jet that's going to be bringing systems across the area. We may be talking about another snow chance as we get towards late next week and into early next weekend. Now, regardless of this, details on this is very, very uncertain right now. It's kind of in the air at this point. Just a hint on what we could potentially be dealing with, because like I said before, right now when you're trying to forecast 7 days, 10 days out, you don't look at specific model guidance for precipitation. You look at the pattern. What does the pattern tell you, and what does the pattern support, and go from there. This fully supports the upcoming patterns. Active southern jet that's going to move across the Gulf Coast, area of low pressure spinning along it, colder air moving down from Canada. This is where you get the winter weather potential as we get towards next week here. So we're literally going from what was a severe weather event we had last Friday, the tornado outbreak, to now talking about snow here. That's how your Arkansas here, folks. So as I said before, just something that we're going to monitor closely here, but not only tomorrow, not only Monday, but we are going to watch as we get towards late next week here. Now, I'm going to go over Futurecast, and while I get Futurecast loaded, I'm going to tackle some questions here. So bear me for a bit. Let me see if I can get this up. And I'm going to answer your questions here, because I know everybody's been asking me left and right. I've got a lot of PMs asking, when are we going to get snow? When is this? When is the timing? And stuff like that. I'm going to go over that here in just a little bit, okay? So give me 1 second. Let me see if I can switch this over. And we're going to go over that here just a bit here. So let me see if I can get this over to tomorrow night. Let's go to 7 p.m. and then we'll go from there here, okay? So let me switch this over. We're going to go over to this. And the Futurecast is going to be coming up here in just a little bit, okay? But bear me for just a bit. But you can see this 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. And you can see the area of snowfall over here in Oklahoma along the Red River. This is what I'm talking about. Nicole out to the east, holding the front up, and that's what's allowing this system to bring moisture back in Arkansas. And we've got cold air moving in at the same time. Okay, so you can see by 8 o'clock, and it's going to be loading up here in just a little bit. by 8 o'clock, you can see the snow really starting to get going for our folks over here in eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas. It's going to start off as rain because, like I said, you've got cold air moving in. Moisture moving in with the cold air moving in at the same time. We've seen this set up before. So about 8 o'clock, eastern Oklahoma, some higher elevations over here in western Arkansas is going to be seeing the winter precipitation. I'm going to zoom this down a little bit further so you guys can kind of see. But as you can see right in here, there's the snowfall potential across the higher elevations of western Arkansas, northwestern Arkansas as well. This fills in as we get towards later in the night here. Let me see if I can do something real quick and get you guys to see this a little closer. Give me 1 second. And there we go. Alright, so let's take this out to about 10. And I'm going hour by hour, by the way. And you can see the snowfall really starting to get going. This is what I mean. Higher elevations are going to steal the show at first. But then what happens is, and this is where timing is our best friend. Late timing, going into the overnight hours, colder is able to seep down even more. And that's where everybody will start transitioning over. So it's going to start off as rain, except for the higher elevations. Up here in northwestern Arkansas, Fayetteville, I say probably around 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow evening, you may start seeing some snowfall. Keep in mind, I know it's super exciting about the snow, but keep this at bay that ground temperatures are ridiculously warm. So don't expect this to be a significant event, but just expect for some snowfall at least across north and central Arkansas. And then you can see by the time we get towards 11, the colder air is really able to seep down. Moisture still hanging around. You can see some areas of freezing rain. Not expecting a whole lot of ice with this as well. And some snowfall across the area. Now you can take this out to midnight. And let's take this out to midnight. You can see where the snowfall is. Okay, and you can see right there in central Arkansas. Let's zoom this down. Alright, so you're talking from the Little Rock area over to Mount Ida, over to Hot Springs, the Mena, the Russellville, along 40. Mainly higher elevations over here, but tells you the story on where the snowfall is going to be. And then you can see by the time we get towards 1 o'clock, this starts moving eastward because your moisture is beginning to get shifted out. But look at Mountain View, look at Conway, Little Rock, Russellville, along 40. Quick burst of snow across this area here. So if you're an overnight watcher, you like staying up at night, this is a night owl. That's the word I was looking for. If you're a night owl, this is going to be perfect time for you because you can go outside at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning and see the snowfall if timing were to hold. And then you can see over here in eastern Arkansas where the cold air is beginning to mix out, where you see some areas of freezing rain and some snow. Like so before, I'm not expecting a whole lot of ice accumulation with this here. Maybe a little bit, but not a lot to make any kind of significant impacts here. Now you can see by the time we get towards 2 in the morning, I mean, look up here in northeastern Arkansas, a good amount of snow, some freezing rain being thrown in, a little bit of sleet, a little bit of a mixed bag across the area. Unfortunately, for my folks down there in South Arkansas, I think you're just going to be too warm. I think you're just going to be a little too warm to support winter weather down there, but your chance will come, don't worry. You'll get your shot down there in South Arkansas in due time. But you can see where this area is snowing here. And you can see over here across eastern Arkansas, if our Futurecast were to verify, good amount of snow from northeast Oklahoma, northeast Arkansas, northeast Arkansas, the Boot Hill region up there in Missouri, western Tennessee, and down to northwestern Mississippi. That would be the area of seeing some snowfall if you were to go over our Futurecast. And 4 a.m., it's out of our hair here, and then that's it. Like I said before, not a lot of impacts or anything like that, but just something to watch over the next 48 hours here. We'll keep an eye on that, okay? So if you guys have any questions, let me know here. Dylan, I see your comment. GFS has a cold bias almost all the time. Could it verify? Possibly. The biggest thing, Dylan, with this potential setup is you have a 1040 millibar high coming down from the plains, okay? So you've got cold air. Cold air is not a problem at all. It's just getting a system to take advantage of the cold air that's in place. I'm not saying don't pick one model over the other. You know, model guidance is never going to be 100% accurate. But in terms of the pattern, in terms of what are we looking at in terms of the overall pattern, I do like the GFS is thinking. Like I said, I think GFS may be overdoing it just a little bit in terms of accumulation. As a matter of fact, while you bring that up, let's talk about the GFS here, okay? So it's in order header, by the way, because this is going to go past 48 hours here. But let's talk about GFS for just a bit. So I believe the time frame is going to be, let me double check, it's going to be that 17th, 18th time frame. So let's take this out all the way till then and kind of show you what I mean here, okay? So let's go out to here. And this is looking at next week, okay? So this is the GFS model, by the way, looking at next week. It's going to be loading up here just a little bit. There's GFS. You're talking about the majority of areas seeing a good amount of snow, a little bit of a mix here and there. So this is what the GFS wants to do. like I said before, it's the pattern I'm looking at. You can show me a million precipitation maps all day long. I want to know what the pattern looks like, what your teleconnections are going to look like, stuff like that. Because these systems can take advantage of the cold air. It's not uncommon to see this in November. It's been a long time since we've had it, but it's not uncommon to see snowfall like this late in the ball game in November. Okay, it happens in Arkansas. You go from one extreme to the other here in a natural state. Like I said before, this is the GFS. I know a lot of people are going to see this. They're going to get instantly excited, and they're going to think this is going to 100% happen. It's GFS. It does GFS things. I like the idea. The idea of it right now kind of stands out across the board here. Okay, so Elijah, I see your comment here. Okay, so this low pressure, okay, the cold front keeps pushing quicker. Do you think that snow will be sinking down into southern Arkansas? South Arkansas, you're kind of the oddball out with this one. It's just because of the type of cold air that's coming in. This is not a deep Arctic blast coming in. It's more of a shallow cold air. That's why you were seeing some freezing rain and sleet kind of mixing in at times. Like I said, no major ice accumulation or anything like that. But that's the biggest problem. That cold air has to come over the mountains. And I think by the time the cold air gets down into South Arkansas, it's going to be too late. It's going to be, the moisture's going to be out, and it's going to be too late from there. So that's the biggest issue with South Arkansas right now here. Could it happen? Potentially. We've seen model guidance do horrible with cold air before. We've seen it underestimate the cold air all the time, and the cold air ends up further south than expected. It could happen. But right now, just based off of the type of cold air that's moving south, I just don't see it down there in South Arkansas. But like I mentioned before, things can and will change here. Okay, so let me see there. Let me go over questions real quickly here. Janet, I see your comment. We want a white Christmas here. The biggest thing with the white Christmas, we're going to start the precipitation, not precipitation, the percentage as we get towards early December. So watch out for that. The pattern itself, and this is why you don't like winter weather in November. The pattern itself, don't be shocked, beginning in December, and everything starts warming back up again. Whenever you go from one extreme to the other, it normally ends up that way. Remember, late October, early November, we were super warm, had a tornado outbreak. Now we're in mid to late November. We're talking about winter weather and snow. Then you start talking December, you go back into that warm pattern. We're not done with fall severe weather yet. We're not done with it just yet. I'm watching that December time frame at this point, but we're not done with severe weather just yet here, unfortunately. Okay, so Derek, yes, I do, and don't say you don't, because you've been talking about snow for the last month. You've been bugging me to death. When we're going to get our first snow event? We're going to get our snow event. We have it here, so don't claim that you don't know, that you don't want winter weather either. Okay, so let me see here. Let me see here. So Ronald, this is going to be another short winter. My answer to that is going to be no. And I know what we've had in the past, where we've had snow in November and then December and January and February ends up being super warm. I don't think that's the case. We've seen this happen before in previous events. We've seen this happen in previous years, stuff like that. We have cold air moving down. It's just a timing thing. Had we not had Nicole, we would not be talking about winter weather tomorrow at all. We would not be talking about it in any sort of fashion. Nicole is the reason why we're talking about winter weather to begin with, because it's holding the front up just enough to get the moisture in with the cold air speeding in. That's the only reason. It's just a timing thing. Next week, it's only because the cold air is sticking south, which is typical in mid to late fall, where you have that first Arctic blast, and then you have an active southern jet, and you bring snowfall into potential. So that's the biggest thing. Like I mentioned before, I know a lot of people tomorrow are not going to see snow, and they're going to immediately throw the white flag on winter. Keep this in mind. We are not in winter yet. We are still in fall. We are still in fall. This is not anything uncommon. We've seen this so many times in the past. We're still in fall. Don't throw a white flag on winter. Winter hadn't even begun. You can't throw a white flag. It's like throwing a white flag on a game that hadn't even started. So just keep that in mind across the area. Okay, so James, yeah, that's what I mean about tomorrow. I know the snowfall potential is there, but ground temperatures are just too warm. Next week, different story, because you'll have cold air kind of settling down over the weekend or early next week, and that will bring your ground temperatures down. But on Friday for tomorrow's event, I wouldn't expect any major accumulation on the ground, guys. I just don't see it. Your ground temperatures are just too warm to support it here, okay? So, yeah, as long as we don't have another 70-degree Christmas, if it doesn't snow, at least be cold. I agree with you. Like I mentioned before, I don't think we're done with fall severe weather just yet. I do believe it's kind of a roller coaster. We talked about this a little bit earlier on. how you go from one extreme to the other. It's like a roller coaster. You go down and then up and then down and then up. So I say late month, early December, expect it to be warm. Mid to late, we'll keep an eye out. We'll watch it. We'll watch it closer, guys. So y'all have any questions, please let me know. I know a lot of people are tuning in and stuff like that. But just let me know if y'all have any questions here, okay? So what are your thoughts on November 19th? That time frame is a little bit in the extended range right now, so I can't give a accurate 100% what's going to happen. But I will say it's going to be cold. It's going to be cold. And I will watch that 17th, 18th time frame for potential winter weather time potential across the area, Cheryl. So we'll watch it close. Feel free to inbox us. It's 9 days out, so a little bit in the extended range, but once we get a little closer, I say after this weekend, we'll have a good idea on what we're looking at as we get towards the 19th there, okay? So, yeah, Mother Nature is just teasing us. I know that typically happens. Like I said before, this is not uncommon. We've seen this time and time again in November where you have these systems that take advantage of the cold air, and boom, you've got snowfall potential here, okay? So, Michael Riley, good question. Is the cold air moving faster than projected? Yes and no. Michael, the biggest thing, like I said before, the only reason why you have this tomorrow, let's zoom this out. Let me see if I can zoom this out real quick and show you guys, okay? The only reason why you have this tomorrow, because there's a system down here along the Gulf Coast, and it's because of the remnants of Nicole. Nicole is holding the cold front up just enough for the cold air and the moisture timing to be in sync. Had it not been for Nicole, it had just been a cold blast, we'd been done, it'd have been a normal Friday. We wouldn't have been talking about this. But Nicole moving northeast, colder air is moving south. It's actually, as a matter of fact, I believe Nicole is actually going to be bringing that colder even further south. So that brings the point of Elijah's comment, something to watch tomorrow, because the influence of Nicole could bring that snow line even further south. We'll have to watch further trends with that here. So South Arkansas, you may not be out of the game completely with this here. It just depends. I know Model Guys says horrible with model transit, so we'll watch it closely here. But Nicole's like, hey, you want some snow? We got some snow coming for you. So that's what it's doing across the air here. So Ashley, great question. Will it stick? Will it be safe to drive on? Yes. Like I said before, road and ground temperatures are extremely warm. We've got temperatures in the 60s, low 70s across state. It's been ridiculously warm. So don't expect this to stick or anything major like that. But like I mentioned before, when snow falls here in Arkansas, people go out on the roads and that's stupid and stuff like that. So watch out for that tomorrow night. If you have any plans, you're trying to go out and travel or anything like that, just make sure that you stay safe on the roadways, guys. Use caution. Know where you know where you're going. Wherever you got to go, it's going to be there when you get there. So there's no need to go speed race out there on the roadways tomorrow night. I know when people see snow, they're gonna be like, okay, I got to get here like at 70 miles per hour. Don't do that because they'll cause accidents. But just watch out for that tomorrow night. Other than that, you'll be good to go across the board. Okay, so. Dina, good question. This is actually La Nina. We're going into our third year of La Nina, and this is, like I mentioned before, very typical in a La Nina pattern where you have cold air moving in. This is all about timing sync. That's all it is. It's just about getting everything to line up perfectly to get snowfall here in Arkansas. Tomorrow night, good example. Monday night into Tuesday, good example. Both examples of cold air moving in and moisture moving in at the exact same time. That's where you get the winter weather here in Arkansas. And then late next week, I know where it's a little bit in extended range right now, but I'd watch it. The cold air is definitely going to be in place. That's not going to be a problem at all. Excuse me. That's not going to be a problem at all. It's just getting the moisture here. And I think with that particular setup, I think if you were to get winter weather next week, I would bet late next week will be your snowfall producer versus Monday and Tuesday. Doesn't mean you're not going to see anything Monday and Tuesday. It's just something to watch as we get towards late next week here. Okay, so could you show us Arctic Blast coming in next week? I can, and give me 1 second. I can take a look at that. So let's take a look at the GFS here. Let's go over the temperatures. Ignore the header, by the way. The header is just going to be there. But let's take a look at this. Okay, so you can see the amount of cold air. So this is where we are right now. There's your cold front, obviously. You can see the cold front on here. There's your temperatures right here. So let's take this out all the way to here, 108 hours out. And you're going to see the colder air. There's all that colder air up here in the northern plains. All that's coming south. This is looking, I believe the 15th is going to be, let me double check, Tuesday morning. Okay, so You're looking at Tuesday morning here, all that cold air coming south, and then you could take this out. Let's take this out all the way to about, I'd say the 17th. Okay, so this is looking at late next week. Okay, look at all that cold air still hanging around across the air here. This is significant cold air that's going all the way down to the Gulf Coast here. Okay, this is what I mean. All that cold air here, and your active storm jets. Your storm jet. Let's see if I can draw this out. Your storm jet's going from southern California all the way through here through southern Texas, up like this. That is a very favorable pattern for winter weather. Cold air moving south, moisture moving in with the cold air, and that's where you get the winter weather potential. So that's why I'm saying before, the pattern next week supports it. It's just getting a system to take advantage of it is the biggest thing across the year here. As a matter of fact, I believe, give me 1 second, see if I can clear this off and show you guys the CPC outlook. So, I just passed it. There it is. All right, so this is the temperature outlook for next week here, and this is what I mean. All that colder air is going to be loading up here just a little bit. All that colder air here. So there's the colder air at this point. This is the next 6 to 10 days. Look at how far south that cold air gets. You're talking all the way to North Mexico, along the Gulf Coast. The only area seen above normal is Florida. That's where your storm jet is going. That's where your storm track's going. That's why I'm harping so much about late next week, because the pattern supports it. Whenever you get a big shot of cold air come down like this, and you get a system to take advantage of it, it can happen. I've seen it happen so many times in the past. It can happen across the area here. Okay, so will Waldron see at least some snow? It'll be cold, definitely. Snowfall, Waldron area, I do like your chances tomorrow. I definitely like your chances next week, especially Monday and a Tuesday, and then as we get towards late next week here. Okay, so thank you, Cameron. Happy for the sprinkling of snow and the colder weather here. Yeah, definitely. We could take this out all the way to the 8 to 14 day, and you can see cold air doesn't go anywhere. And over the next 6 to 14 days, this is going to be the norm here in Arkansas. The colder air is going to be there, and it's going to be having the cold air coming down in Arkansas. And then, like I mentioned before, let's go over to this real quick. Now, I know this is going to show below normal, but I'm not concerned about the percentage. I'm concerned about your storm jet. And you can see where your above normal is, from Texas to Louisiana up into the southeast. That means you have a jet, you have an active jet going through that area, bringing above normal precipitation. So what's going on is moisture is being thrown back into the cold air. That's where you get the winter precipitation across the board here. So let me go back here. Let's go back to our graphic here. I know we have this for late next week. Let's go back to tomorrow. I'm going to have this up on here. And I mentioned before, tomorrow's timing is going to be, I'm going to have a timing map. If I don't get to it tonight, it's definitely going to be there first thing in the morning, because everybody kind of sees it first thing. So it'll probably be out first thing in the morning. I'm going to let some 0Z guidance come in and stuff like that and kind of watch it closely here. But when I saw the Futurecast earlier on, I was like, okay, we got something to work with here. So that's the biggest thing. Michael, great comment, great friend of mine, by the way. This is very interesting setup coming over the next week. Is it that it seems that the coastal lows are favored with the colder air in place? Potentially interesting. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. You're going to have to watch that close, because whenever you have all that cold air coming south, remember something. It's been very warm for the last couple of weeks. Guess what's been going on in Canada? All that cold air's just been bottled up, hadn't had anywhere to go, and then, boom, that's what happens. You get that drop of colder air down in the central and eastern half of the country. You get an active southern jet, boom. Like I mentioned before, watch that late week time frame very, very closely. If you miss out, Michael did a great point. If you miss out tomorrow night, you've got 2 more opportunities, and that's the biggest thing. It's not winter. This is fall. This is fall snowfall we're talking about. We've got to get through December, January, February, March of next year, etc. We got to get through all that time. We haven't even begun to even talk about winter yet. So even if you don't see snowfall for the first 3 opportunities, do not throw the white flag on winter. Just don't do it, because it just wouldn't, like I mentioned before, it's like throwing a white flag on a game that hadn't even gotten started yet. That's the biggest thing. You're seeing snowfall with fall timing. It's mid to late November and early December that you're watching for this time frame here. Okay, so let me see here. It's already falling. It's already all in the air right now. That's the biggest thing with this. Okay, so let me see here. So Little Rock, any snow? Yes, tomorrow night. Watch it close. I do believe you may see a transition at the very end. Monday night and Tuesday, watch it closely as well because I think the cold air is being underdone with auto guidance. And then late next week, like I mentioned before, that Thursday, Friday time frame here, if there were to be a significant winter weather event, it's going to be late next week because you will have the pattern to support it. It's just getting this system to cooperate with the cold air in place. Basically, next week, you get rid of all cold air doubts at all. You get rid of it completely. It's just trying to get the moisture into Arkansas with the cold air in place to support snowfall here. So something that we'll watch very closely here. Garrett, accumulations. Accumulations right now for Monday night and Tuesday is not going to happen because we're still about 3 to 4 days out. I say Sunday, come back with us on Sunday, and we'll have accumulation maps out and stuff like that if needed for Monday night into Tuesday here. Okay, so something that we'll watch closely across the area here. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, so Elijah, yeah, about the severe weather reports. There's hail reports over there in Oklahoma. If there were to be any strong storms tonight, it's going to be up there in northwestern Arkansas, and it's not going to be a big deal. We'll watch it close. No tornado threat or anything like that with this setup. You don't have the instability to support it. But I can't rule out a few instances of hail and stuff like that. A few strong storms coming in tonight with the front boundary. But I just don't see any severe weather happening here in Arkansas. I just don't see it happening in terms of like what we saw last Friday. Remember, by this time last week, we were talking about the potential of an outbreak coming up last Friday here, and look what happened. So I just don't see it. I don't see it with this one. It's just a front boundary moving in, change of air masses. You may see a few thunderstorms that may attempt to try to go severe, but I just don't see a big severe weather making around today here. But I can't rule out a few hail instances at this point. I'm so glad I found this page. Thank you. You're very welcome. Everybody that's new here, I know we got a lot of people new here from the outbreak last week. Welcome. This is what we do. We talk about things during the winter weather. We answer questions and stuff like that. We fully appreciate y'all for being here across the board. Briar, do you remember the snowstorm we had in Waldron last year? We got a foot in like a couple of minutes with snow so hard. That one was, if my memory's correct, with this one, I believe that one was the February event. I think that was the event where, and Michael, if you're still in this live stream, we were talking about it. Remember that cold air was coming in, and model guidance was horrible with it. Model guidance is always horrible with cold air. That's why we tell you guys in advance for changes, because model guidance is very, very horrible with cold air. But anyways, what happened is all that cold air was coming out of the west, and it just blasted through. You guys got a good amount of snow over there in Waldron. I think that was the February event from last year. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't remember the exact date. But I do believe it was that February event we had last year. Unless you're talking about last November. Last November, I don't think we had any winter weather here in Arkansas at all. Correct me if I'm wrong. Memory kind of fades in and out, but just correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But we'll watch it closely here. Okay, so tomorrow, temperatures for tomorrow, we're talking about temperatures in the 40s and 50s across the area, 60 south, with all that colder kind of moving in. That's the biggest thing tomorrow, Pam, and thank you for bringing up this point. So, the biggest thing about tomorrow, it's going to be in the 40s and 50s. A lot of people are going to be like, snow? What are you talking about, snow? It's 40s and 50s out here. What do you mean? These guys must be, talking about something else. No. What's going to happen is the cold air is going to come in tomorrow night. Very, very cold tomorrow night, by the way, especially in northwestern Arkansas. You're going to the tailgate up there for the Hawks game against LSU on Saturday. Come with some layers. It's going to be cold. But anyways, all that cold air is coming in tomorrow night. Moisture lingering around. That's where you're getting the snowfall potential here. So tomorrow, 40s and 50s, some more 60s down in South Arkansas. But with that cold air coming in tomorrow night, that's where you're going to set the stage for some winter weather here. Okay, so with us getting snow and ice already, what does that mean for an interesting winter? Thank you for that, and that's why I was throwing back to the comment earlier. Don't focus on just winter right now, because we're still in fall. This is very, very common for especially late fall, and we talked about this in the winter outlook, where you get these instances where the system takes advantage of the cold air. This is all about timing, by the way. Cold air is beating the moisture. That's where you get snowfall potential here. So, regarding the winter, like I mentioned before, we haven't even put a scratch on winter yet. This right now doesn't entail exactly on how the winter is going to go. We still have at least over a month before we start talking about how the winter season is going to go. But definitely kind of fits the mold when we were talking about the fall season, especially late in the game. You got these systems bringing in moisture with cold air meeting it. That's where you're getting the snow and the ice potential here. But yeah, it has nothing to do with the upcoming winter outlook here. Not winter outlook, the winter season coming up in December. Okay, so Dustin, do me a favor, take care of the spam in the comments here. Okay, so Frank Templeton, open day for deer deer season on Saturday. Cold front is definitely appreciated. If you're going out Saturday morning, you better have a heated camp or whatever, or have some layers. It's going to be a very, very cold one. You're talking about temperatures potentially up there in northwestern Arkansas in the teens, across the state 20s, South Arkansas and Southeast Arkansas, temperatures in the 30s here. So a very, very cold scene coming our way as we get towards that Saturday time frame. So if you're going out, just be prepared for that here. Jennifer, I hope we see some in Cabot. I think Central Arkansas has a pretty decent shot of seeing snowfall for tomorrow. Tomorrow is kind of what we call an eye candy setup. Basically, you're going to see snowfall. It's going to fall on the ground. It's going to melt. It's not even going to stick unless it's elevated surfaces and stuff like that. But it's going to be very pretty to see. It's kind of reminiscent of what we saw, I want to say, late 2020. I don't want to say 2018 with this particular setup. It's kind of what we saw in late 2020, that November setup where we had those big fat snowflakes are going to fall, and it's going to look like it's sticking and stuff like that, and it doesn't stick. So that's the biggest thing. It's going to be a very eye candy situation tomorrow. Watch out on the roadways. There may be a little bit of slick spots. The only thing I'm worried about tomorrow night, I'll have to check the wind profiles, but tomorrow night we'll have to watch to see if there's any wet roadways that could impact Saturday morning travel. We'll have to wait and see on all that. But right now, I don't think that's going to be the case. But if that ends up being a situation, then we'll watch it closely here, and we'll have all the information here at this point. Okay, so I've already gone over the accumulation and stuff like that here. Let me see here. So yeah, Preston, I see yours. It's all about extremes. We don't do anything gradual here in Arkansas. That's the biggest thing. Like I mentioned before, by this time last week, we were talking about potential of significant severe weather, and we ended up getting an outbreak. Flip the script. A week later, we're talking about potential of our first winter weather event across Arkansas. So you go from literally one extreme to the other here in the natural state. You don't gradually go into anything here. So I'm putting an order on snowfall for Christmas. So am I. You've got my vote on that. If we were to get snowfall here on Christmas, that'd be the first time we've gotten a white Christmas since the 2012 event. So we'll see. Every year you run that potential. We'll wait and see what the pattern sets up. We'll go from there here. Right now, it's just a little too early to talk about anything here. Okay, so more chance of rain and mist in my area. That's the biggest thing, and I want to stress something. Shannon, thank you for bringing up this comment. I want to stress something about this map here. First and foremost, if your colder air is further south, Elijah made a great comment earlier. If your colder air is further south than this, then those two lines come south. That's the biggest thing. Tomorrow night, we'll have to wait and see when the cold air gets here. You're looking at a perfectly timed moisture returning, cold air meeting the moisture. That's all this is. It's just a timed winter weather event at this point. So if the cold air is much faster, comes in a lot quicker, the snowfall ends up further south. I didn't put all snow in central Arkansas for a reason, because I do believe you will see rain on the onset. But don't be shocked, and I'm waiting to see what the 0Z and what we call the 0Z, that's tonight, and early tomorrow morning's run to see what happens. But don't be shocked that pink area kind of extends from probably the Queen to Hot Springs over to Memphis here. So we'll tweak this as needed. Let's see what data does tonight and tomorrow, and we'll go from there. It'll be a very interesting morning outlook. I'll just put it that way. So a very interesting morning outlook for you guys in the morning. So be sure to watch out for that here. So we'll still be able to barbecue tomorrow night. You will have rainfall to deal with regardless if you see winter weather or not. So that is up to you. But it shouldn't be a major winter weather event. I want to stress this right now. This is not going to be a massive winter storm or anything like that. We're not going to see any major traffic issues except for the ones that, typical whenever we have any kind of weather here in Arkansas. But anyways, you're not going to see anything major with this event. It's just the fact that you've got our first snow. It's an eye candy event. That means you're seeing it fall. It's very beautiful, but it's not going to matter much. By the time we get to our Saturday morning, probably won't even know we got snow. But I haven't before. I've seen stranger things happen across the state here. So, Stephanie, yeah, up there in northwestern Arkansas, you guys are kind of in the bullseye for the next 3 events. You've got one coming in tomorrow night and Saturday morning. You've got one coming in Monday night and Tuesday, which you're heavily favored for, and then Thursday and Friday. So definitely, I wouldn't say snowstorms, but definitely 3 potential winter weather events up there in northwestern Arkansas here. Okay, so let me see here. Yeah, Kayla, yeah, tornadoes last week, snow this week. That's Arkansas weather for you. That's how it is across the board. So, yeah, Cam, that's what I was mentioning earlier. That comment, that was from the February 2021 event. Man, I remember that February. Oh, man, that February, if you're a winter weather fan, that February was glorious. It was just beautiful. I was seeing all that snow falling, forecasting the snow. It was beautiful. I would, in terms of, all the traffic impacts and all the other stuff, I would love to repeat that down the road, but without all the traffic issues and stuff like that regardless. But okay, so let's see here. Was that the storm a couple weeks ago that brought the bad hail in the Little Rock? No, this is a completely different ball game across the board with this setup. Basically what's going on, and I mentioned before, Hurricane Nicole is our best friend. Nicole is not impacted this year in Arkansas in terms of rainfall, but it's like, hey, you guys want a little bit of snow, a little bit of winter weather? I'll bring it down. I'll have it coming down for you guys, and that's what happened. Nicole kind of holding the front up, kind of getting the front in line, syncing everything out perfectly, and that's what we're looking at in terms of Friday. So this is Friday night's event. Let's talk about accumulation real quick for everybody that's kind of tuning in and stuff like that. And if you missed this live stream, by the way, feel free to message us, stuff like that, and then we're going to have more information tomorrow, so you're not really missing anything here. But like I mentioned before, a trace to a half an inch of snowfall if you're lucky. 60 to 70 degree ground temperatures will likely limit accumulating snowfall. That's the biggest thing. Ground temperatures are very, very warm right now, so it's going to be very difficult to get any kind of accumulation to stick with us. But the best chance of accumulation, elevated surfaces on top of cars, and then obviously the mountains up there in western and northwestern Arkansas, the Ouachitas, and up there in the Ozarks here. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it was. The thing about models is they tend, and that's the biggest thing, they tend to lean on Climo with this. That's the one thing. You don't want to necessarily go 100% off model guys. You go over to GFS right now, you might as well put 100% chance of snow for next week across northern and western Arkansas and all rain south. We could potentially get to Wednesday of next week and potentially be talking about a statewide event or just far northern Arkansas. It highly depends on the system and the system's track, but the overall pattern that we're going into highly favors a further southern track. That's why I'm throwing a red flag for that Thursday and Friday time frame right now, because the pattern supports it. I'm not concerned about preset maps. You can show me a preset map all day long, but if the pattern is supportive of it, you can bank that something along those lines is going to happen with that. But yeah, great point, Michael. Very great point across the board here. Okay, so yeah, I take the snow rather than the bad weather. I just can't drive in the snow. I know, like I said before, tomorrow night you're going to be good. I'm not setting any sort of major impacts or anything like that tomorrow night, so you'll be good to go across the board. This is Monday night. I'm not confident putting a accumulation map for Monday night and Tuesday. You're not going to get that right now. Sunday night, maybe a different story, but right now I just don't see it. Mainly snow up there in western and northwestern Arkansas, rain and snow mints across this area, and then snow across, rainfall across southern Arkansas. And we could take a look. Let's take a look at this real quick. This is the Futurecast, by the way. And like I said before, if y'all have any questions, let me know in the comments, guys. I've gotten a million of them today. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this live stream, so if y'all can, tag your friends, tag your family in this live stream. That way they're not missing any kind of information. I know we're still a little bit early in the ball game, but it doesn't hurt for you guys to know about the winter weather potential coming up earlier than you normally would. Okay, so let's see. Let's take this out. This is the 17th. So this is next week. Next week's storm system here. Let's take this back out to the. Let's go back to this real quickly here. I'm gonna go over to 3 a.m. Okay, so this is the GFS, by the way. And let me take this back all the way to midnight. So, by the way, it's going to be overnight event. It's not going to be during the day. So, if you're looking for snow during the day, it's unfortunately not going to happen. It's going to be at night. But this is the GFS. So, this is why I have that mix all the way down to southwestern Arkansas, because you can see rainfall across eastern Arkansas and southeast, unfortunately, southern Arkansas. You may miss all three events. It just depends on how far south that cold air gets. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can see this is Monday night and Tuesday's event. Higher elevations, more than likely. And then you can see this drags on into this area here. Okay, so you can see about 3 a.m. going into northeastern Arkansas, and then by 6, it's all out of the natural state by this point. snowfall accumulations. Let's talk about it. Let's just go ahead and get out of water, not out of water, out of the air. I know this is kind of like the elephant in the room. Everybody's trying to figure out what we're doing for accumulations. Right now, if you were to go with the GFS, about a half an inch to an inch. Higher elevations, obviously, the most favored. We're talking 1 to 2 inches of snow over there. And then we take this out. I'm going to take this out all the way to the 18th. And you can see what happens. And this is, like I said, this is 18Z GFS. But what it does with this particular event, you can see 1 to 2 inches of snow here and there. Some higher amounts. I know the total itself is going to be in the range of about 4 to 5 inches. Some locally higher amounts here. But this kind of shows like what we're looking at for per event. So, like I said before, higher elevations is the most highly favored right now. Down in the valley areas, we'll watch it closely. We'll keep you guys updated on that here. Okay, so let me see here. Great question. Any winter weather advisories with this setup? Tomorrow, it wouldn't shock me to see a winter weather advisory go out tomorrow. Depending on when we're looking at in terms of accumulations, everything like that, wouldn't shock me. Monday night and Tuesday, definitely. And if late next week verifies, more than likely we will see the advisory start rolling out here. So we'll watch tomorrow. Like I said before, tomorrow's kind of a sneaky system. Kind of came out of nowhere. But Monday night and Tuesday, and also Thursday night and the Friday of next week, definitely needs to watch it very closely. Okay, so y'all do great. I'm always watching the video when there is a chance of snow coming. I know. That's the biggest thing here. We'll watch the next 3 events that's coming up. One tomorrow night, Saturday morning, Monday night and Tuesday, and then Thursday and Friday here. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in, by the way. I know everybody likes the snow, tunes in, stuff like that. It's the most exciting point of the year whenever we start talking about our first snowfall here. But like I said, I looked at the Futurecast earlier on. I was like, I was like, what? And I even, Michael, we were talking about this too. I didn't think we had the moisture, but somebody made an obvious point. It was the cold kind of holding the cold front up across the board. That's where you've gotten the winter weather here. Okay, so let me see here. Seeing any more comments across the board? Yeah, I saw next week pattern kind of favors February 2021 a little bit. Where you have multiple rounds of winter precipitation. It's just a more tamed version of February 2021. The only thing that's hurting you next week is that this is not a -1, 0 blast or colder air moving south. This is not like what we saw back in February 2021. Yes, there's multiple chances of winter precipitation, but not to the extreme to what we saw back in 2021. 2021, I believe personally, and I'll probably die on that hill, was a generational event. I think it was a generational event for us here in Arkansas here. So Frank, thank you, Cameron. Appreciate you, man. What about next Saturday for the Hawks game? Next Saturday right now looks cold for Ole Miss. It looks cold. I think if we have any snowfall potential, it's going to be Thursday and Friday. It should be out of here, so it should be clearing off by that point. But it's going to be definitely cold for that Ole Miss game here. We'll watch it closely because the timing slows down, etc. Maybe talking about a snowing Hawks game next week for Ole Miss across the board. We'll watch it closely at this time here. So when was the last time we got snow on Christmas? That was 2012. It's been about 10 years since we've had our snow on Christmas here. And like I said, every year you have that off chance. It's just like playing the lottery. You have that off chance of having snow on Christmas and stuff like that, and everything happens. Now, I just don't want it like it was last year. Last year we had temperatures, I think, record highs for Christmas last year. Temperatures were in the 70s across the board. So as long as we can keep it cold for Christmas, that's fine. But none of that record high stuff we saw last Christmas, man. That was, I don't know about you guys, but it's depressing seeing warm temperatures on Christmas. Christmas is meant to be cold. It's not meant to be warm. So, you have any more questions? Let me know. Let me see here. Yeah, eye candy snow sounds great. That's the biggest thing with the first snow event. It sounds really good on paper. It's just, unfortunately, had we had the cold air seeping in a lot quicker and been sitting here for a couple of days before this event, we'd have had a best shot of accumulation. But right now, I just don't see it here. I think it's just going to be mainly an eye candy situation across the air here. Okay, so let me see here. Let us know. I don't want the ice like we had in 2009. Excuse me. You won't see with this event. It won't happen. Let me see something here. I don't know if I have. Do I have snow? I have snow accumulation on here. Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know I had that on here. It's a new update. Let me see if this is working. Okay, so I'll have to look at that later on. But let's take a look at the HR. I Totally forgot I had snow accumulation here. I could have showed you guys this earlier. But this is the snowfall accumulation if you were to go with our Futurecast. And like I mentioned before, this can change a lot. You're talking 2 inches, inch here, higher elevations. You're talking 1 to 2 inches of snow. Down here in Little Rock, half an inch to an inch. Up here in Jonesboro, you're talking about an inch. So keep in mind, you're going to cut these totals in half because of the super warm ground temperatures. So overall, it fits to this. Let's go back to this real quick. It fits to this. So it fits to this map right here. Okay, so it fits to this. Trace to a half an inch of snowfall. Some areas may get lucky, see an inch. One more thing while I have everybody here. Send snowfall pictures tomorrow. Send video, stuff like that. We'd love to see it, especially for our first event across the year here. So, yeah, if it helps anything, we usually see our White Christmas every 10 years. Climatologically speaking, has higher odds on this year for snowfall. It just depends on the pattern. It honestly depends on the pattern. If we can, I'll say this. The biggest red flag is going to be if we start next month warm. That's what you want. If we start next month cold, it's likely not going to happen because you have a pattern change coming. If we started off warm, and it's why I'm really glad we're getting the cold air out of the way now in mid-November, early in mid-November, because you have a pattern flip late November, early December, it gets warm, and then you have another pattern flip mid-December and the late December. This is the time frame you want to start watching out for that. Climo supports it. It's been 10 years, it's been a decade since we've seen snowfall here on Christmas Day. One honest opinion, I think that changes this year. But we'll watch it close. We'll keep an eye on that at this point. Okay, so what is the criteria for a winter weather advisory? I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, I have to double check and look at that. So I think it's like not half an inch. I think it's 1 to 3 inches of snow with that, or travel impacts. I've seen time again where we have winter weather advisories, and they're for travel issues versus accumulation. Right now, I just don't see a lot of travel issues. Now, technically speaking, tomorrow night, let's take a look at temperatures real quick. With this, let's go over to our Futurecast. Let's go back over our Futurecast real quick. I know a lot of people kind of tuning out, stuff like that. That's fine. As long as you guys have the information, that's the biggest thing that I just want to ask for you guys. So, let's take a look at, let's go out to 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Saturday morning, okay? This is what I mean. If you start getting winter precipitation and it gets on the roadways, temperatures 28, 29, 30 degrees, especially in higher elevations, you could have some impacts. We'll see. It's going to be very tough to get a winter weather advisory out of this tomorrow, but I'm with you for it. Things can change. It's Arkansas. We know how stuff goes here in Arkansas. Dustin, yeah. High school football playoffs start tomorrow night. Some areas may see some snow during that game. It's right now. It's not going to be a complete washout, but we'll watch it closely and stuff like that. We'll keep you guys updated on that here. But yeah, playoffs do start tomorrow night, so we'll keep an eye on that here. So is Walter going to get snow or rain? Is it going to be snow tomorrow night, or what will it be? I think you guys are going to start off as rain, and then it's going to go from rain to a little bit of freeze, rain, and sleet. Don't be surprised if you see that, and then it goes over straight to snow. It's going to be a very quick transition across the board. So I think that's all for the questions. Let me double check and make sure I didn't miss anything. I think that's all for the questions, guys, here. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. If y'all have any more questions, please let me know in the comments, and I will get to them here. But yeah, that's the biggest thing across the board. So let's do a recap real quick with this. Let's go back over to our first graphic with this. So tomorrow night, okay, so tomorrow night we're talking snow across North Arkansas, Northwest. A mix starting off as rain. That's the biggest thing. It's going to start off as rain tomorrow, and it's going to go to a mix, and it's going to go to snow. South Arkansas, primarily a cold rain across the board. Talking about accumulations, we're talking about trace to half an inch. Anna, I see your comment. Won't be too warm. That's what I've been mentioning for this entire live stream. Yes, the ground temperatures are going to be too warm for accumulation. It's not going to be too warm for snowfall. Remember, you've got cold air moving in with moisture moving in as well. Cold air is coming in. It's not so much as the cold air is leaving out or anything like that. This is why we have the winter weather threat for tomorrow, is because we have the cold air coming in, syncing with the moisture coming in as well with the delayed system. So that's why you have the potential of seeing winter weather as we get towards tomorrow here. Okay, so why not severe weather with this setup? It's just because you don't have the instability. You know, and Nicole has a big part to do with it. The outer in outer bands of the cold, the flow around the cold is coming out of the northeast, so it favors what we call offshore flow versus onshore flow, and that cancels any sort of severe potential. So you may have a few instances of hail northwest Arkansas tonight. No major severe weather with this setup here. So, yeah, Arkansas's weather is very bipolar. It flips so fast here. But, yeah, let's get back to what I was mentioning here. So, this is snowfall accumulations. We're talking trace, so half-inch snowfall, mainly in the higher elevations and the elevated surfaces. That's the biggest thing for this. It's going to be in the higher elevations and stuff like that. And I want to stress something while I have people here tomorrow, too, because I know a lot of people are going to come up to me tomorrow and say, where's the snow we were talking about? Timing is tomorrow night. This is tomorrow night. This is not during school. This is not during the morning hours or anything like that. This is tomorrow night in the early part of your Saturday morning. So if you don't see snow first thing in the morning, don't come messaging the page saying, hey, you guys are hyping, you guys don't know what you're talking about, etc., because it's just going to end with a blog. So that's the biggest thing. Tomorrow, you're going to have to watch closely tomorrow night and the first thing Saturday morning. It's not going to be during the day. Tomorrow, throughout the day, you're going to notice the temperatures slowly dropping. But it's not going to be snowing until tomorrow night and the early part of your Saturday morning here. Okay, but that's the accumulations. There's Monday night and the Tuesday. By the way, all this information is coming on the page probably within the next hour or so. Mainly snow up here in northern, northwestern Arkansas. Up here in central and northeast. We'll watch it closely. This is Monday night and the Tuesday's event. And in southern Arkansas, primarily a cold rain. But this is the first look. Keep in mind, things can and will change in time. And then late next week, Thursday night, and next Friday, we'll watch it closely. There could be another snowfall potential across the board. We'll keep you guys updated on that potential here. Okay, so just coming in, when snow going to be falling, we're talking tomorrow night, mainly after 9 o'clock. I want to stress that. Mainly after 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Do not come to us tomorrow morning and say, hey, it's not snowing. What are you guys talking about? It's going to be tomorrow night and the other part of your Saturday morning here. Dustin, great point. Wet snow. And it's going to be those big old flakes. It's going to be probably bigger than $half size snowflakes falling tomorrow. It's going to be very beautiful. So that's why I was saying, y'all get any photos or videos or anything like that, send them in. Because it's going to be very beautiful. And we'll give credit to you guys on the page across the air. Michael, thank you guys for what you do. We appreciate that comment, bud. What about Woodruff County over there in eastern Arkansas? Tomorrow night, I think it's going to be primarily rain over there, cold rain over there. But we'll see. It depends. Like I said, things can and will change with time here. Okay, so I think that's it for all the questions. I think I've gotten over all of them. I see this one. This one, we're in the La Nina winter, by the way. Our third La Nina year. We don't go into El Nino until some point next year. We'll see. We'll see. We're supposed to be going into it this winter, but we didn't do it across the year. What am I thinking for Thanksgiving? A little early right now. Coldish, maybe kind of in the middle of a pattern change by that point, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll have Thanksgiving maps and stuff like that out over the next. Thanksgiving is 2 weeks away from now. Yeah, over the next week or so. We'll have more information on that over the next 2 weeks. Okay, so thank you for what you do. I think that's it for all the comments, guys. So I'm going to hop off of here. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. If you missed anything in this live stream, feel free to rewind the live stream. Inbox us as well. All these maps are going to be posted on the page. We will not have a 7-day forecast out tonight just because of this. And then first thing tomorrow morning, we're going to have timing. As a matter of fact, no, you're going to have timing tonight because I can develop the graphic and have it for you guys tonight. So we'll have that for tonight, and then we'll talk more about this tomorrow here. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. As I mentioned before, if you see any snowfall tomorrow, take a photo, take a video, tag us. We'll post it on the page. We'll give credit to you guys. So that's all I got. We'll continue to keep you guys updated right here in your source for all things Arkansas weather.